part 2 with a rubber hits the road. So we have a fair amount of coding we're going to do here before we actually, and then we'll get to see some.
Drop the ball, drop the ball.
Yeah, I'm dropping the ball on drop the ball. And it's just, it doesn't care. It's still doing it. All right. So be it. All right, so we're going to create a note. So we have the send ball. This guy is going to get called from the method that actually, so we have the slider changed. First thing we do is we call this current value. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to have a function that will handle a little bit of the logic with this timer. And this function is what's actually going to fire the timer off and set values on it. So this will get called from our slider changed. We'll call it handle ball drop change.
Oops.
So this, right away, we'll go ahead, copy this guy, and put it in the slider changed so we don't forget to call it. And the ball drop change. So set the current value, and then we do this. All right.
What did you just do that?
Yeah.
That was fast.
I just copied it,
Well,
fancy, and then I came up here to our slider changed event, and I plopped it in here.
got that.
Okay.
I just didn't see where you put it.
Yep.
Yep. Because it's in what the hell?
Okay, so the now we're going to start working with the timer object. So first thing we're going to do is check and see if the user moved the current value to 0. So like they're over here, they got like 5 balls a drop in a minute, a second, and they move this over to 0. If that's the case, then we want to stop the timer because it's no longer, they're not creating any more of these balls. So to check that condition, what we're going to do is say if int, because our current value is a float, and we're going to convert it to an int. Current value equals 0, and the timer is not equal to nil. So it's also possible that the timer hasn't been created yet. And I put parentheses there. You don't have to have those. I put them there because I've been working with C# a lot, and so it's habit. But you don't have to have parentheses. What we're going to do is we say timer. So if this is the condition, we're going to say timer.invalidate. And what the invalidate call does is basically it stops the timer. It says, all right, it's just kind of a weird name they gave for stopping the timer. So if the user is not one, if they set the value to 0 and the timer is not nil, so in other words, it's currently making balls, stop it is what we're doing. Otherwise, else,
So now we can call timer. That's weird.
what's that?
As it now allows us to call a timer, not NS timer.
Well, this is the variable name here.
Yeah.
So it's a variable of type NS timer in your case. Okay, so the next we're going to do is we're going to check if, we're going to do this again, int current value is greater than 0. So we're checking the other condition because this guy's doing a compound, is checking to see if it's 0 and the timer is nil. So here we're checking to see if the value is not 0, but we don't know if the timer is nil or not. If the timer is not nil, oops. Okay, so we have a valid timer running right now. Again, we're going to invalidate it. So this is the case where they moved it to a different value. Say it was at 3 and they move it to 5. We want it, anytime they change that value, we want to stop it because now our interval is going to be different. So we're going to stop the current value, which will stop dropping balls just briefly, just for a split second. And then we're going to reinitialize the timer with the new value. And this is the part that gets, we have to do our calculations. All right, so in here, let's do this. Let's say let frequency, so this is going to be the frequency with which we drop the balls. So our current value, let's say if our current value is 5, for example, that means that we want to do 5 of these balls every second, or 1 ball every 0.2 of a second. So the frequency, which is what we actually send into the timer method, is going to be 1 divided by current value. So the smaller this value ends up being, the faster they're going to drop. Okay, so the next part might vary based on which version of Xcode you have. Hopefully not too much, but I'm thinking there may be some differences. So what we need to do now is actually create the timer. It's always fun to watch those guys. So we have that timer variable that we declared. This is going to be set equal to a method call. If you have Xcode 7, that has to be NS timer, and it should have the same method, schedule timer with interval.
Interval?
Yeah, I think this is the guy we want right here. Repeats block. Yeah, this is the guy.
Ours doesn't know.
That's timer, right?
Yep. You should have a scheduled timer with interval. There's going to be different variations on this probably. You want the one that has a time interval, a repeat Boolean, and then yours may not say.
It doesn't have the block.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to use this one either. Sorry about that. I'm going to change this. I don't want to use the block. That gets really messy. Dot schedule. Let's use not that one, but this one. Timer interval, target, selector, user info, and repeats. That guy. So timer interval again. So timer interval is going to be frequency, what we just calculated.
Was that time interval?
So time interval. And on mine, I'm getting the little bullseye of fate here. Let's see what this guy says. Okay, so I'm using just a float value for the frequency. It wants me to dynamically construct a time interval. So I'm just going to double click on it and let it do it. So the time interval is just basically it's an amount of time that passes. It's measured in seconds. So this, like again, the smaller this value is, the smaller the time interval, the faster this guy is. So what this method's doing, the schedule timer, is it's saying after this much time, whatever the time interval is, after this much time, fire off some code. The target is whoever is doing the code, which is just us itself. And this is where we might get some variation, the selector part. Selector is kind of a weird term that they came up with that means basically selector is just the name of the function, but it's got some weird syntax associated with it. So in version 8, I'll try and make as much room here as possible. We don't have to drag this around a bunch of lines. All right. So in version 8, it's going to look like this. I think even 7 will be similar. Use #, select word selector, and then it should pop up with this little suggestion. If you just hit enter when it pops up with that, then it'll create the method body for you. And I'll explain this in a second, but this guy in here is the name of the method. So it's going to be self.sendAball, that method that we created. And then you need a closing paren. User info is nil. You don't have any user info. And repeats is true. And if all is well, you shouldn't get any red dots or lines or anything. Okay, is anyone with version 7.3 having syntax issues, like it doesn't like something?
Yes.
Because I copied his TM and you just have an underscore.
So like this stuff in here, the guts of this may be a little bit different depending on version. If like I think in 7.3 it doesn't auto-populate this for you, is that right? This TM part?
No.
It does?
It did not.
Yeah, if it doesn't, which it probably doesn't, then go ahead and type that in.
When I did, I got an error.
Yeah, Mars just says an underscore, so.
Yeah, I think yours is like something like this, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you type the TM, it works.
Not for me.
No, it doesn't work with the TM,
So just underscore without the TM?
just underscore.
Yeah, so I thought. So if you have 7.3, I think it's something like this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course in 8 that generates an error. So for 8 users it's TM, that's the actual name, and 7.3 it's underscore. For whatever reason. Okay, so all right, so what it's doing, it's creating the timer, or it creates a timer, which is the return value of the function. It schedules it on this interval that we create, which is just 1 over the current value of our slider. So the higher the value of the slider, the faster this guy's going to go. Target is self, so we're the owner of the code that's going to run. Selector is just this weird syntax that they've had forever that tells it what method you're going to call when the timer fires. User info is some stuff that you can set for when the timer fires, which we don't need, and then repeats is true. All right, so one other thing I'm going to do is set the current value. I'm going to go into the slide. Well, let's do this. In the view did load, set self.current value to 0. And then in our slider control, that also should be starting out at 0. So set the value for the slider to 0. So that when the user comes into the app, you don't start off dropping anything, it's just sitting there and waiting for them. Yeah, view did load is where you put the current value equal to 0.
Yeah, right. On the side there, where we set.
Yeah, so you need to select the slider over here
Yeah.
and then set the slider value to 0. And then we're going to go ahead and run this
Is it
guy.
called current there
Pardon?
in the slider value? Do you have the slider value?
Yeah, slider
Is it called current and on some point three instead of value?
could be.
Because I have a min max and then I have a current.
That's
So
probably
basically-
what it is, yeah.
Okay.
And we're gonna gonna set
If it's up in that same area, then that's what it is, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna set that to 0. Okay, good.
All right, and then I'm gonna go ahead and run this.
max,
Ooh, I guess we would break it.
the max we're gonna set is 10.
Yep. So 10 a second is firing them off pretty fast.
That's pretty awesome because it slows down as it gets to the line.
So you got yours running?
Yeah.
Good, good.
And it works to go back to 0.
Oh, that's cool.
I do it all the time. Oh, there we go. I see the problem is that negative minus my first number.
Or at least it appears to go slower as it hits the line. I don't know if it actually does.
I'm probably gonna need help with my constraints later after class.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably need help myself. I got my 0 label right on top of my slider, so yeah, I'll figure out what we need to do with that, and then I'll help
So whenever
you.
it's 0, it doesn't do,
Doesn't stop.
just doesn't do anything until I get about halfway over.
Oh, yeah, it takes a little while for the because there's actually that initial interval before it starts.
That's where
All right, so good. That's a good start. We don't have any aborts, and it seems to be doing what I want it to do. So that's cool. All right. So as far as the logic of it goes, does it make sense to everyone what we're doing?
If I go way here,
Okay.
watch this.
All right. So the next thing we need to do is change the colors so that we can dynamically change our colors out at while it's running, and that will not require an invalidation. It can just go ahead and run on the fly.
Constraint stuff.
So, but what we do need to do is we haven't defined an event for the segmented control. So when they tap on it and change the color, so we need to create another IV action handler for that. I'm just going to make a little room here in the code and then come over, select my segmented control, do the control drag, and create an action. And we'll call this seg control changed. And we want to pass in a segmented control object to that and connect.
Where's in that underneath the slider chain?
Yeah, yeah, but you can put it anywhere as long as it's after the variable declarations up here.
Action.
Action, and you want the type that's passed in to be a segmented control. So in Xcode 8, we get these weird little underlines. I don't think you guys have that in 7.3. All right, again, I don't know. I haven't gone and dug into why they did what they did or what these changes mean, but
Yep. No.
all right, so now that we have this handler for it, what we need to do is based on which segment they selected, we need to set the color, the current color. So now, because we have these enums, we can do something a little bit fancy. So what we can say is switch seg control changed. Except I don't want all that crap. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's not the name of my control. The name I'm a buffoon. Sender is the name of the parameter being passed in. And the segmented control has a selected segment index value. That's the numeric index of the selected button. And now in here, in our switch statement, we can do something like this. Case colors, which is our enumerated type, dot, try this again, dot, all right, I'll just type it, dot red, and then red is going to give you like the actual value red. You need dot hash value, and hopefully this is working for someone.
Yep.
I don't know why I'm not getting IntelliSense, but it seems, there we go.
Is it supposed to be color or colors?
That's why. Thank you. Colors. There you go. All right.
Here to help.
My IntelliSense was working and I had color. That's weird.
You might have named yours color.
Interesting, I sure did. Wow.
The hash value will give you the actual numeric value of these guys. So in here, then we can say self dot current. I'm sorry, I think it's selected color, isn't it? Selected color equals UI color dot red, or red color if you have 7.3. And then we repeat this case statement. Case colors dot blue dot hash value.
We very much just copy the case. And
Yep, you can just copy the whole thing down, which is what I'm going to do now.
No, I didn't want to do control N, Y.
You know what?
I got 4 and one
So
more.
it doesn't matter what order you do the colors in?
It does. Well, I mean, you can
Green
have
was the second one?
whatever value as far as the case goes. You can do it in whatever order you want, as long as you have, as long as you match up the colors correctly. Yeah. So that's the easy thing. The nice thing about having an enumeration is you can quickly see. All right, I want blue for this one, and green for this one, and
Why am I?
blue, green. You have to also change it in the case statement. If you don't, it'll probably give you an error. Green, plus it won't work. Let's see, blue. Oh, actually, I got these backwards. Oh, God.
Orangey.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
It
thanks.
matters that they're green and blue. They should match the
They
order.
need to match. Yeah, these guys need to all match. Blue.
But that doesn't even match the actual order, right? You can have whatever the case was.
You can have whatever order you want, yeah.
Okay, I'm still getting
Purple. And the last one is orange.
I'm not sure.
it. Yeah, me neither.
Then if it still gives you an error, what you need to do is put in a default case.
Switch must be exhaustive, considering yes says default still.
Yep, that's the exhaustive part, is you have to consider the default case. And I'm just going to set it to be red in the default, because that's what we start off with. There, and then that sets our selected color, which then that's all we really have to do, because then in our send a ball guy, we're setting equal to that. So if everything is correct, it should just run.
Should.
Right.
Survey says.
Oh, I see why mine ain't working. I have to put a color in.
Ooh, it's still pretty. Okay. My problem is it's just my screen's off. It's gonna run off the screen.
Well, I was keeping up.
I don't like that color green.
Yeah, it's kind of a lime green.
It's a weird color, and it's a burnt orange.
Why?
Yeah.
It's like a rainbow.
These are
How do we that green hurts the eyes?
I'm gonna change the values to say purple or
I think green in general is an okay color, but when you combine it with certain other colors, such as yellow, it just really ruins it.
I heard that. Gosh, it went a little slow on the Viking side over there that time.
I was concentrating on my colors, trying to figure out why green and yellow don't go together.
So you can change these if you want to. I mean, like, you don't have to use the hard code. It's like if you don't like the orange, You can say dot, oh wait, actually what you'd have to do is this.
Just look at the ultimate.
Is there like hunter green or forest green or any of those?
No, they don't give you a lot, they just give you the basics.
That is not the green I would have chose for a basic color.
No.
That's what I'm thinking, like,
I think there's a dark green. I might be wrong, but I think there is a dark green. Nope, dark gray. There's no Packer green. Sorry. Let's see. So orange. So with orange, we'd say like 128. Green. Blue.
So if we wanted to put constructors, okay, that's how you do it, okay.
Yeah. That's probably nowhere near orange, but
I'm curious to see what color you've got. I bet it's gonna be closer to purple.
that's just a natural tendency. There's not much I can do about it. All right, so do this. Yeah,
Okay,
it
so
is. Yeah, it's
closer
like a
purple.
burgundy almost.
I just happen to remember I used purple for mine, so it was pretty close to those numbers. Purple doesn't have any green in it.
Okay, so the other thing we could do, I mean, now they just kind of fall off the screen. If you wanted to get really fancy, like this is like creating like a little bouncy room of balls. You could have them collect at the bottom. So you could have destination. And then when the view loads, you could set that guy.
Where are we at?
Yep. Say view.destination y equals self dot view dot bounds dot height. Then
What did you all do to?
so what I did was I declared this variable. This might have to be a float type though.
No, it's yelling at me too.
Yeah, probably because it's an integer type and it's.
and I was signing in
It doesn't like that either.
Yeah, we'll make it a CG float so it's happy. That should stop it from complaining. All right, view did load, destination Y. Then in our send a ball, our destination Y is going to be, instead of self.bounds.height, we'll say self.destination Y.
What way you get this one? Or UIView.animate?
Yes.
What the hell did you just-
Then the other thing we would have to do is, okay, so as these things collect, actually what we should do is make them visible. So instead of being the total height of the view, we'll make it like the height of the view minus 20.
Going too fast.
Sorry. All right.
So you under the animate, what did you put under the animate?
I haven't done any, well, I changed the destination Y, where was it?
Right there.
So I changed it from the bounds.height to destination Y instead.
Then where did you do the next thing?
I haven't done it yet, but
Minus 10.
So self.view.destination y says nine.
Can you go back to the view did load?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
okay, oh yeah, I did. So I subtracted 20 from from their initial value. So now instead of going all the way off the screen, they'll stop at the bottom. Well, at least I'm surmising they'll stop at the bottom.
Okay.
And then the last piece of the puzzle would be as the balls collect all the way over to the right, when they start the next row on the left, we need to move them up a little bit too, so they topple on top of each other. So for that, here when we reset the x value, we'll also say self.destination y minus equals 20, which is the size of our balls in the app. And we got a little thing here. What is it not like? Okay, so
I'll just catch up with you later, I'm lost.
okay.
Isn't liking something in the view did load.
Self.destination line.
All right, let's see if we can do
It
this.
took, yeah, it does not like that.
Yeah.
So it's trying to change the flow.
It says minus equals cannot be applied to operands of CG float and int.
Yeah, what you have to do is this. You got to spell the whole thing out for them.
So where are we at now?
All right, so first thing we added this variable CG float.
Yes.
Then in the view did load,
Yes.
we set it equal to this.
Mine doesn't like that in the.
Mine did okay with that part there. But then we get the send of all.
Okay.
It doesn't like that when we get it there. Oh, out there.
Up a little bit.
Yeah, the
Right
self.current x, right below where you self.destination y equals self.destination. Okay, now I get that second part. So,
Yeah, mine doesn't like that though.
Okay. Are you getting a? Mine's not getting an error there, I'm getting one in the function call.
okay, I got it. It came through.
Okay, so typically what it's complaining about, and it's going to be different from different versions of Swift, is the different types.
So we added this here.
Let's see.
I didn't touch the function on the bottom,
You
the
got something right.
handle ball drop
Nice
change,
Yeah,
but I'm getting an error down there. It says expected
Okay.
parenthesis
we want
and
that.
expression list.
Okay, I got a lot of problems.
Does that
Now
mean
go
anything?
to the
I'll have to have a look at it, Glenn, off the top of my head. Just want to make sure this guy's working right. Looks like it is.
You got that? Okay. Now you need to also then in this part here add this stupid line of code here. You do that there.
All right, so that seems to be working. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop it. That the only other thing I was going to do tonight was create an app icon for this guy. But I will check and see. So who all is having issues right now with it?
I'm trying to trust to see if it works yet. But
Oh, okay, it does because I went ahead and ran it. I stopped it, but it should work.
see if it works. Yes, mine works too.
You let it run to the second row.
Yep. And now I have 0 through 10 is covered up because that's all in a weird spot.
Cause Apple. All right. So
Ooh, let's see if it does green. Oh, look at that. Blue. Purple. What happens if we let it fill the whole page?
And
Most of the time.
Why is yours there? I don't understand.
yeah, that
Yeah, but-
I'm gonna have to talk to Sean and be like, hey,
Yeah, the constraints thing is killing me a little bit.
I hate the constraints. I really do. I hate them probably just as much as you do.
why can't it be smart like?
You know, you put it there. Stay there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, why can't?
My
it be-
dog is smart.
Let's see, like I said.
And she's dumb.
Why can't it be smart like Visual Studios?
I know. Microsoft has got the Cadillac of user interfaces when it comes to developer environment.
No, no, here we go.
All right.
All right. So does everyone else got theirs to run at least?
Here, you,
No, I'm not.
Glenn?
What I did was I copied.
you gotta scroll to the bottom. He's okay.
I'm good.
He's
Okay. The only other thing I was gonna do was we haven't actually created any. If you look at what you end up with now, product. That's weird. Should be stopped, but
Yeah.
hardware home. You end up with this ugly app icon that they give you. So I was gonna create, have you guys create actual app icons. The only thing I'm not sure of is that the app icon, the requirements for the app icon also change with every version that they put out. So we'll see what if they kept that consistent or not.
Mine just broke when I was running it.
Uh huh. What did you do to make it break?
Because behind his things, which made click, they just change colors.
I changed the green.
That's so funny.
Well, obviously green's a bad choice.
Oh wait,
Just changes the
somehow
colors.
the breakpoint.
And you wonder why I was laughing.
There we go.
All right.
See, like his is 0 and 10, they're also pretty on
Mine is.
Yeah, Sean, my selector is over my slider.
So you can't ever change the speed, you just keep changing the colors.
That's the first version. and then the second version, you actually make it so they can change the speed.
We can change the speed first, then once you select the color.
Yeah. Then you're done.
It's in the background, you can't do that.
That's hot. All right.
That would be like such a mind.
So I don't know if you guys want to like call it a night or do you want to work on the app icon? It's your call.
How long does it take?
It might take us a good 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta make up some time because it's that first class.
Where you didn't have an instructor.
That's fine, we
It's
can
on
do it.
your nose.
All right. So let's go ahead and do that then.
Not this, and
App icons are a special type of image that's maintained in this over here in your file explorer in the assets.xcode assets file. They have this app icon and this, let me see if they got this right this time. All right, this looks okay. I know in Xcode 7 they screwed something up with this app icon and I actually had to have students delete them and recreate them. But we'll see how it goes. All right, so what I'm going to do, since this guy is, since our app is based on dropping balls, let's see what we can find out here on the internet for.
Careful what you take.
Yep. I'm not going to use the word ball. I'm going to use the word sphere. Oh, these are some cool looking icons.
that's actually
You get green, whatever color you want. You can pick the color of your choice, pretty much. I'm going to go with this guy, I guess.
I really like this.
So if you select one of them, so it's like that, and then you click on copy image. You right click and go copy image. And
So
then,
we can use the app dog thing we got earlier.
yeah, we're not quite there yet, but we will. I'm going to do a spotlight search and look for preview, which is the default like paint program.
Oh,
What did you type in? Preview?
Preview, yeah. So if you copied the image, then it's going to be in the clipboard, or Apple calls it the pasteboard. And then once you open up preview, if you go select the file menu, there'll be a new from clipboard option. And then that'll just let you paste it in. It should look like that, or well, whichever one you selected.
Okay, hold on. Okay, so there's preview. So how did you do that one more time?
All right, I'll go ahead and close this.
I got
And
into preview.
all right, so
Created.
okay, with preview open, so here's preview. If you go up to the file menu and preview.
Yeah, it's
Okay, I
not
can't get it
open.
open. I can't get the preview open.
Oh, okay.
It came down to the bottom as like a program, but it doesn't do anything.
no, you don't have to.
Yeah, it'll if you click on it, all it'll do is like pop up a thing that looks like a Finder window,
Yeah, I don't get that button.
and you don't get the menu up here.
Yeah, you get the menu,
Yeah, I get the menu.
Well, that's all you need. You need where it says File, do a new from clipboard.
and then once we get a picture in there, then what do we do?
Once you have the picture in here, up on the top there's this toolbar, and there's a little toolbox up here. If you click on the toolbox, that'll allow you to resize it. For Icon Dog, they like to have the starting image be like 300 by 300 or 400 by 400. It's just got to be big, and then they size it from there. So I think in the Tools menu there is a Adjust Size.
Yep.
Mine's pretty huge. Oh shoot, it's also not symmetrical, so it does need to be symmetrical. I'm going to uncheck the scale proportionately. If your width and height are the same, you
It's
know.
like pretty close, like mine is like 3.0 or 3.9.
Those are inches though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You can change it from inches to pixels over here. And that, now mine's going to be a little bit egg-shaped, but that's okay. Then once you have it sized to around 500 by 500, 300 by 300, then you can go ahead and save it. And I'm going to find the location of mine. Oh, heck with it. I'm just going to put it there. Well, all right. Let's see, where is this thing? This is Drop the Ball. So if you can find your project folder in Finder, put it in your Drop the Ball. So there should be like 2 levels of app name, Drop the Ball, then Drop the Ball. Put it in the second level down. And so wherever you keep your projects, if it's on a flash drive or on
Yeah,
the
when I click my flash drive, it doesn't drop down anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't.
so okay, if you do File, Save.
Yeah, I got that.
So does it show?
It shows us save as, tag, and a where, and when I click where, I click my flash drive, but it doesn't drop down anywhere.
I get to.
Oh, you did a Save As. If
No,
you just
I
do
just
a,
did save.
all
And
right.
you click there, and then you go back, click it again. I unfortunately not in my spot, so then it's gonna drop the ball recent places. Way in the bottom.
It may so like it may look like this. I mean, right now mine's set to the right place, but it may just show like your flash drive in here.
Yeah.
That's what it
Then
shows.
if you click on this little arrow up here, this will expand it, and then it'll. And,
And where do we wanna put it?
How many drop the balls down do we go?
you go 2 folders down. So first drop the ball, second drop the ball, and then put it in there.
Okay, I got
And save it as a PNG, so it'll save it here. You can select the style, select PNG, and save.
Okay.
All right, so with that done, now you can open up Icon Dog. So that's the little Scooby-Doo looking guy with the.
Find it.
Yeah, you may have to do a search for it if you haven't got it on your taskbar.
Where did you save it to then?
What's that?
Where did you save it to again?
I saved it into the project folder. It really isn't critical if you don't save it there. I mean, but you'll need to tell Icon Dog where to get it from.
Is it called Icon Dog?
Yeah.
Probably download that.
Yeah, I think you guys all downloaded it. I think Nate was the only one that had problems with it.
Where the hell did I
That's
save it?
why I'm not
Are
doing
you searching the Launchpad?
Yeah, if you just go up to your Spotlight search up here, and then just search for Icon Dog.
Got it. There you go.
And then in here, so this is a pretty straightforward UI. It just wants you to specify whether it's for iOS or Mac OS. We're obviously iOS. And you need to drag and drop your icon. So the only reason why I have you put in the project folder is so that you can, if you need to, you can include it in the project later on. But anyway, so you need to, for Icon Dog, go ahead and find it in Finder where you placed it. And let's see, I call this thing, so let's drop the ball. Take it and just drag it onto Icon Dog. And it'll give you a little preview, and then you can choose an output location. which I will also set to my project folder.
The
And
same place, the 2 in.
yep, 2 in. And then once you're ready, done with that, you have the location set. You can just click on Generate Asset Catalog, and then it goes ahead and makes it for you.
It makes a folder. Right?
It makes a folder, yep. And then inside the folder, it has your set of icons.
How come it's not doing it?
Holy cow! It made a whole bunch of them.
Yep. So it covers every type of resolution there is,
How long does it take to do it?
Yeah, 'cause
like a tenth of a second. It's super
Okay,
fast.
Mine's not doing.
I would say it did it.
It doesn't really do anything. It just kind of like once you click on the generate button, it just does it behind the scenes. So if you go out to your wherever it was that you told it to save it to, you should see an icon dog folder.
Now, because of the fact that I don't have like.
Yep, oh wow, I made multiple icon dog followers. Apparently I just kept clicking.
All right. So anyway, in here, in the like app icon set, these are the actual images that it creates. So these are for all the different sizes that you need. So if you come back to Xcode, you'll notice that there is a 20 point. So in here, 20 point, it's a little bit goofy the way they did this. Surprise, surprise. But you notice that there's a 2x and a 3x for the 20 point. So basically all you do to get the correct image is multiply the 2 by the 20, which gives you 40. So the 40.png would go up to the 2x, and the 3x would be the 60, which it didn't create, which is weird.
I
But
got a 58.
yeah, go ahead and use the 58. Then for the next one over, again, we have a 2x with the 29, so the 2x would be a 58. And the 3x would be 87, I think.
29 point? Oh.
And you just drag them and drop them in there. Yeah, it's 29 point. And then
I don't actually have that very first one.
you probably don't because you're on Xcode 7. So in your case, if you have like a 1x maybe up here. So basically you take whatever the multiplier is times the point value. So if you have a 1x and a 29, then you go ahead and you just drop the 29 up there.
Do it for all of them then?
Yep. Yeah, fill those guys in. So the 40 point, the 2x would be 80.
What's 40 times 3?
That's 120. This is also 120.
Because of the fact I don't have icon dog,
You'll probably flunk, but anyway, just kidding. Just kidding. No problem. If you for apps that we require, if I require you to have an app icon, I can just create a set for you.
okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah. You can also do this manually. You don't have to use icon dog, but you'd have to go ahead and create. You'd have to resize each
Would
one.
it also be because his computer's not like updated?
No, because I think you had a problem. It was something to do with permissions, I thought, or something. Where
No, it just was making him pay for it.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it was the pay for.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
He knows
just
he's
thinking
got
like
money.
if he updated, you know.
Maybe if you updated it, that might go away. That's a possibility. I'm gonna see if this is gonna run. It might give me a compiler. With 7.3, it might give you a compiler. It looks like it might run. All right, so it looks like there was a bug with 7.3 that looks like they corrected with 8. And if I go hardware home, now you see it has the icon instead of the ugly looking crosshair thing. If anyone's having a problem with the compiling, let me know. I'm going to stop the recording at this point.